Inventory, we saw this in the other solution inside of Remedyforce. We had the hardware tab, we had the software tab. Again, these exposures that we're seeing in Asset Core is what we're exposing to the service desk agents inside of Remedyforce. Okay, here I'll just go ahead and collapse that. There's one other aspect to mention when we're doing any device. This one happens to have an agent, but we're going to look at the financial asset management data, and you can do this for devices that don't have an agent on them as well. So here what we'll see is some summary information here at the top part, again, as it pertains to this one asset. I'm going to double-click in this chart or in this table so that you see you're able to make changes to any of those fields. So as it pertains to the life cycle status, I can see this one is deployed. I have several other statuses that are available to me. As this machine gets towards the end of its life cycle, you may retire it, so it's still in your inventory. You've just retired it from service. It could be that you sold it. Maybe you donated it to charity, to a school. Those are all life cycle statuses that you can enter on a given asset. And you maintain this list. This is just kind of what's out of the box, but you can have whatever life cycle statuses that you deem necessary. Device information is captured, purchase information, warranty and support information, purchase dates, service dates, support and warranty expiration dates. The thing to note here, you can run a report against any of this. Well, we're looking at financial data, but basically any field that you see coming up on these screens, you can run a report against. And we have a good amount of reports out of the box, but as you can imagine, there is a report wizard as well. So here, let me just cancel out of this financial asset management data, and I'm going to scroll down to the reports so you can just quickly get an idea about what's being presented here. So here I've gone under reports to my financial asset management, and I'm just looking at my assets by life cycle status. And so here we have our report results. I think I already have this one open. I do. And so what we're able to see here, my assets by life cycle status. So I'm able to see 61% of my devices have a deployed status. I've got 1% that have gone off to eBay, 1% that are in a received status, maybe waiting to be deployed out. I've got 3% that we've retired, and I've got another 29% that I've sold. Now, when I scroll down, I'm able to see as it pertains to the deployed machines, or that part of the pie that's in red, I can see, I think it was 47. So that's 47 devices, and again, I'm quickly able to see the name, ID, type, model, location, etc. Again, that's all tunable, but this is an example of the out-of-the-box report that you'll get as it pertains to the financial asset management. Okay, here, let me go back into our Asset Core console, and I'm going to talk about the software deployment. So in the Remedyforce, when we went to advanced actions, it pulled up a list of data points that I could then push out to that endpoint. So software distribution, it could have been patch distribution, basically anything that I would seed up inside of Asset Core. So what we'll do at this point is take a look at building up a piece of software for distribution. And again, I'm going to walk through the wizard for this. So I'm going to the top. I'm doing wizards in this package creation. So you'll have a couple options here. I've downloaded an executable, so that's going to fall under custom package, but if your vendor has given you an MSI package, then you would opt for that second bullet. So here we're going to say custom. We'll call this Win SCP. We'll leave the rest of the defaults. The destination path, so on the endpoint, where do I want to drop this file? So I'm just going to say put it into a temp directory. And just let me do a quick copy on that. So the run command, we're just going to point out to my executable, and we'll put that temp directory in front of there, again, so it has the right path. Now, if your vendor has provided switches, let's say, that make this install silent, or maybe I want to suppress the EULA. Any type of switch like that, you would append here to the run command. But again, your vendor of that software package is going to have to provide you with those. Or sometimes a good Google will search and find those switches as well. Here I'm going to hit next. You'll notice under my steps, before given the options that I've chosen, I only have to enter 4. So now I'm going to number 8 step, which is adding the files. So here we're going to point again to that file, because now we want to add it, not just do that run command. You can see here it's about 5 meg. I'm going to say next, and then go ahead and publish that to the master. Now this ends up being a 2-step process, so I've packaged it up, and now what we're going to do, again, as a part of the wizard, is build up my operational rule on how we want to deliver this. So I'm going to say publish, and then the next part of the wizard, creating the operational rule. So we'll do this part. We won't do the deployment, again, because we can just stage it up, and then it's available for our help desk agents to deploy as requests come in. I'm going to say yes on this operational rule, and this gets very granular. So think of this as, in addition to deploying that application down to the machine, I may want to jazz it up and add a message box. I may want to do some file management. I know I copied a file down there. Go ahead and delete that file when we get done so we don't end up with a repository on my end users' machines. So that's the type of things that you're going to be able to do with these operational rules. This third option down, when I say make it available in integrated solutions, that's basically the tie to Remedyforce. So then when you're in Remedyforce, they're going to have access to whatever it is I'm building up. In this case, it happens to be the Win SCP. So we'll say make it available in my integrated solutions. Here I can see there's 1 step included. I'm going to hit this plus. And then what this is doing is bringing in all the steps that you could incorporate into this specific package. So I alluded to a message box. You can see we have basically all the code already written for you as it pertains to a message box that you could display to your user. So I'm going to add it. And you'll notice when I do that, and it's just asking me for a few things. So I don't have to be an expert or know how to create what code is required for me to send a message box to my end users. We've packaged that up for you, and all you do is just give it a few points here. So just by way of an example, we'll call it title. We'll say installing. Here we've got an okay or yes, no, whatever, again, your users are currently seeing. Timeout seconds before we say yes, proceed. So success after timeout, etc. We're going to say okay here. And now I see I have my message box. The other one I alluded to was the file handling. So here we have directory and file handling. Again, we created that temp directory and dropped a file in there. So I may say delete the file. And then it's asking me for that specific file. So we'd say temp and then the WinCP.executable, something to that effect. So there I've got my 2 steps. I'm going to say okay. And then here, maybe we say, yep, let's do that message box first, install the package, and then delete the files. So you can get very granular with respect to any package that you want to build up and deliver to your user community. I'm going to go ahead and say next. There's my package, and finish. Again, I'm not going to do the distribution. We just wanted to expose it to Remedyforce, so I'll say no. And then we've got that available inside of Remedyforce. So there's multiple functions that you'll get with this end-to-end asset management or the Asset Core product. We have a few webinars coming up next month that will go into some other aspects like compliance. So that's going to be the software license compliance, it's going to be machine compliance. As it pertains to these wizards, we kind of looked at asset discovery. We did the package creation, but again, patch management also falls under this scope. We looked at inventory, that operational rule creation. We did that as a part of building up the package. So you can see how you can become very familiar with this tool just really by walking through some of the wizards. Now, I'll show this instant expert really quick. Just again, this is more task-oriented, but let's say I did the inventory or the asset discovery, and I'm a new user, so I'm not real familiar with where to go on the left. They've got a simple task here. So after we've done the discovery of my assets, here I want to browse the inventory, or I want to go and do some of the reporting. Maybe I want to manage my licenses. So those type of hyperlinks are available to you just really from this main page. Okay, so that concludes the demonstration on our end-to-end asset management.